How do we create a Jupyter notebook that is human-readable, that we can share with other scientists in a productive way? Let's look at the notebook we have created during these videos and let's make some improvements. Let's start with the narrative, title. Notebooks usually start with a title, and we already have written this one here, so we are fine. Then, right under the title, it is good practice to add a paragraph with an explanation of the content of the notebook. So I copy-paste this paragraph that I had prepared before right here. The intro paragraph can include the aim of the notebook, a summary, a table of content, steps of the computations, sources of the data we analyze in the notebook, etc. It is good practice then to subdivide the notebook in various paragraphs, and depending on their nature, we create different narratives. For the description of the Python data types, titles and subtitles can be enough. But for the introduction to NumPy's functions, for example, it is more appropriate to explain what each line of code means. And finally, a proper notebook finishes with the printout of the dependencies, which are fundamental to keep track of the computational environment. We will talk more about the dependencies in a bit. Now, let's look at the code and let's start from the packages we used in the notebook. When we talked about NumPy and Matplotlib, we imported the packages in the paragraph where we learned about them, but it is common to import all the packages used in the notebook at the top, right below the introduction. So we can either cut-paste the cell to the top of the notebook, or drag and drop the cells to the top of the notebook. And then we can merge the two cells by holding Shift and then clicking on the left side of each cell to select them, and finally, Edit, Merge Selected Cells. The functions we wrote in the notebook were very short and most likely we are not going to reuse them very often. So we can leave them here. But what if we have functions that are very long or that we need to use more often? We can put them in separate files called modules. To create a module, we go to the launcher, we create a new text file, we right-click and rename it to a name we choose, for example, I_am_hungry.py, where py is the extension for Python files. We copy-paste this function in the file and we modify the function name just to avoid confusion with the functions in the notebook. At this point, we go back to the notebook and we import the module exactly like we do for packages. So import I_am_hungry. And then we call the function wherever we need it. My favorite food equals I am hungry dot print favorite food from module. And let's change it this time to polenta and we print the function output. It is important to be sequential when running cells, which means that we have to run cells from top to bottom. Let's see what this means with a quick example on a separate notebook, just to avoid confusion. For example, let's say that we have a equals 4, we run it, and we see that this is the first cell we have run. Then let's say we have b equals 5, we run it as well, and this is the second cell we have run. Finally, let's say we want to print out the sum of a and b, so c equals a plus b, print c, we get 9 as expected, and this is the third cell we have run. Now, if we change a to 10 and we run the cell, we see that c has not changed. This is because we ran this cell as fourth, after the cell containing the sum, which was run as third. So what we have to do is to rerun the bottom cell as well. When things get messy, like in this case, it is good practice to just restart the kernel, which is a server that allows us to run the cell in the notebook. To restart the kernel, we click this round arrow in the top bar inside the notebook and run the cell sequentially from top to bottom. One of the most important things to make our notebooks reproducible is to print out the dependencies, which are characteristics of the machine we are using and version of packages. One convenient way to print out the dependencies is to use the extension watermark. Extensions are just adds-on that extend the basic functionalities of a notebook and start with a %sign. So we loaded the watermark extension by typing %load_ext watermark. And then we type %, watermark, -v for Python and IPython versions, -m for system and machines info, and -p for package versions. And we listed the packages that we have used in our notebook, separated by commas, and no spaces in between, so numpy, matplotlib in our case. If we also want a timestamp, we write %watermark, -u, -n, -t, -z. Printing out the environment we are using is fundamental to reproduce our code in the future and to allow other researchers to use it as well. And that's it. Thank you for watching this series. I hope these videos have been useful for you.